This one book completely changed my life. It got me to try and drop out of high school, forget 100% about college, and it put all of my subconscious thoughts that I could never articulate or even comprehend into not just words, but into a poetic story. Book, Atlas Shrugged. And I never thought anything of it. Whenever anyone would ask me a political question, my answer was always, I don't care. There is no politician I like. There is none that I dislike. I have no reason to. I've never done any research. And my ignorance just keeps me completely out of the conversation. Then what happens? COVID. Everything is shut down. I want to go outside and go for a run, but the government is telling me it is dangerous to do so. I'm just confused. I was completely lost. I was always super active. I was just stuck. It was honestly one of the darkest times of my life. Eventually, I did start running and going outside and doing these things. But that time when the government, a ultimate higher power, is telling you that you have to do something for the greater good of humanity or you're going to kill your grandmother. And that was a very scary feeling. But not just scary. What I felt more was, why do these authoritarians get to control my life? And I didn't understand it at a very deep level, but I knew subconsciously that something was wrong. I couldn't articulate it, but I knew something was wrong. Fast forward a few months, I read the book Atlas Shrugged. It takes me 4 months to get through. It's over, I think, 900 pages long, and it is dense and hard to read. But while I'm reading it, I realize every single thing that is happening, and almost anything that I can look back to and see, it is almost always through a tops-down approach where the government is telling you should do something, that therefore you should do it. And one of the most powerful parts of that book is when John Galt, he has the most extreme moral integrity and discipline of all time. And he's listening to a speech of a company and he realizes what they're saying goes against his ethical North Star. So he gives his John Galt speech and he just leaves when he's working on this extreme engine that could change the world. He just leaves everything and just moves on because he was not going to support something that was against his ethical beliefs. So who is John Galt? And why have I been trying to emulate the integrity and discipline that man has for the past 2 years ever since I've read the book? And why did I put Atlas Shrugged as my high school quote? So this was about January of 2021. I was a senior in high school, and after I read the book, I got the tattoo and I was dead set on dropping out of high school. I was telling my friends, some of my family, I'm definitely not going to college. I want to drop out of high school. If we go into school, I want to give a John Galt speech. And I practiced, I wrote down the speech, I had everything ready to go. I was 100% dead set because I was completely against the current school system. The school system showed me that I hated to learn, when that is the complete opposite. I hate being a slave, having to wake up at 7 a.m., go to a class at 8, go to the next class at 9, etc. And then they tell you exactly what to do, when to do it. You have no creativity and thinking. You are just basically a slave, and that they're teaching you to do the exact same thing for the rest of your life. And I hated that at a very core level. And I thought that I hated to learn because of what the school system incentivized, but it turned out to be the complete opposite. I loved to learn. I hated being a slave, and that is exactly how I felt. And if we did go to school, I was 100% going to give a John Galt speech and drop out. And I actually talked to one of my teachers and principals, and they said, hey, I mean, you already passed the first half of the year. Even if you do nothing for the rest of this year, we are still going to pass you and you're still going to graduate. But it was the principle of it that I did not want the diploma from the institution that I despise so much. You are not graded on merit and how hard you work. You are graded on if the assignment is done. It does not matter when I'm in art class and I paint literally the worst stick figures and a piece of poop that the art teacher has ever seen, and the lady next to me drawing a damn Picasso on her paper, we get the exact same participation award. That something fundamentally was wrong. Why are we rewarded at the exact same when her efforts were 10 times more than mine, her ability and her results were 10 times more than mine, but what our school system, and this is basically socialism, was saying that we deserve the exact same outcome. And I fundamentally, at such a core level, do not think that if two people put in different amounts of effort and they get different results, they should not get the same outcome. The world does not work like that. The harder you work towards something, the more you should be rewarded for it. And the school system was going directly against that. And the book was basically showing a socialistic type takeover where the governments were getting bigger and bigger in size. And what they were doing is saying these greedy capitalists, they are making too much money. Who cares if they are the economic landscape for our society? They do not deserve this much money. Therefore, we have to take it from them. So the producers of the world, the ones making the railways, the ones producing the oil, the ones building the concrete where we live, the ones who start those companies, they were getting regulated, taxed, shut down by governments. And because of that, what happened to society? The entire society started to crumble, because what was the goal? It was equal outcome and not equal opportunity. Why did everyone want to come to America? Because everyone had the exact same opportunity to work super hard. And if they wanted to, they could start a business and eventually succeed in some way of life. Whereas what is going on now? And why did I put my quote, Atlas Shrugged? Because the producers in society are literally holding up the world. They are the one building the infrastructure on the roads that we drive, for the houses that we live in. They are growing the food that we eat, the oil that we pump into our car, the technologists that are allowing us to watch these videos, the people who are building these things. Those people were getting told that they were worth nothing. And no matter what happened, me, a scum who I've never done anything useful in my life, I don't work nearly as hard as these people do. I didn't have the idea. I didn't have the skill set. I should get the exact same outcome as the guy who invented electricity. And why would that be fair in any situation? And then what's even worse is, why are the people who are telling me that me and this guy should get the exact same outcome, why are they driving in their private jets and using absolutely everything? What the book really showed me is power corrupts absolutely, and no politician is good. Whenever I hear people on the right or left saying all we need is the best person in power, I think that is utterly nonsense. What is someone in power going to do? How are they going to make your life better? Nobody is going to make your life better but you. So why on any situation would it make sense that our society would be better if just a different person got in power? And we should give them everything. We should give them the ability to lock us down, because he's our team. He's the guy that we chose. Why would we give any person that much power? When you have that much power, you are guaranteed to use it. Even if you think you were doing a moral activity, there's always secondary consequences and that are impossible to predict. So the way the society should be built is from the bottom up, where the people are the ones making the decisions. And if they want to increase their economic standing, they're going to work harder. And if they work harder, they're going to be rewarded for that. And that is how you build the ladder. It is not a tops down telling everyone what they should be doing and why. That would never work. And the school system showed me why that would never work for myself, because I did not perform well in a situation where there is one person in front of 30 people telling you what you have to do if you want to pass. And why do you want to pass? Because you want to get good grades. Why do you want to get good grades? Because you want to go to a good college, and you want to go to a good college because you want a good potential job. And if you get a good job, you can have a happy life. And who's telling you that? Why can't I make that decision for myself? Why does someone have to tell me what life I want? And it's not just telling me what life I want, but they are forcing you through very strict measures to disregard any critical thinking of your own. There's one distinct memory that I have from school. Before I ever started reading books or caring about any sort of intellectual curiosity or anything, I didn't care about anything. I asked one of my teachers a very simple question about what they were presenting on, just because what they were talking about did not make sense. And do you know what he said? He said, "Josh, I do not get paid to answer these questions. I get paid to teach the rubric, and I'm going to continue to do that because that is my job. I don't get paid to answer your questions or to go beyond and do the extra effort. I get paid to teach you the curriculum that I'm supposed to teach you every single year, and I'm going to continue to do that." And that just blew my mind. At the time, I didn't care, because honestly, I didn't care about anything. But who would ever want their kids to be being taught by someone who does not care about the quality that they are teaching? They are just reading a script, and they are going to continue to do that year in and year out. That is one of the most unethical activities I could ever imagine. And then when I have children, what kind of school system do I want to send them to? There is zero chance I would ever send them to a current school system that we have, at least not one that I've ever been to. And that has driven me to a very harsh conclusion that I have a few options. One, I can homeschool. Two, I think there are going to be alternative school systems over the next few decades that are going to be springing up because other people have these same concerns. And three, hopefully in a few decades, I want to start my own school system, one that I would be proud to send my kids to, one that I would have wanted to attended as a kid, because as someone who is motivated, who wants to learn, who has a lot of energy and intellectual curiosity, where someone can blossom in that kind of avenue. Because right now, I don't know of a single high school, college, middle school that is incentivizing those kind of behaviors. And I wish there were, because I would be so excited to send my kids somewhere like that. I just don't know of any. And how did we let the biggest monopoly over school systems take place? And it is detestful to me. The book is not about the school system at all. That was the avenue that I was looking at it from. I cannot recommend it enough. If you are someone who thinks that there is something wrong with society, I mean, this book outlined it perfectly. It showed me a lot of the reasons, and most of the reasons why societies start to fail are due to government intervention in your life, and in absolutely any economic sense. So what is the solution? It is to limit the size of government. But what has been happening over the past few years? The government's getting bigger and bigger. They're spending more and more money. They're locking people down. They're doing anything they want to. And I don't see a way society can flourish when the government has such a high percentage of GDP. It is not possible for one or two people to control millions and millions of people on the ground. That would never work. How would any politician know what is the best economic solution for the everyday Joe and Jane when they're not the ones that are performing these actions? It would never happen. And that's the answer. So how do we get to a society where we limit the size of governments? I don't know. So this is one of the books that changed many lives. I got a tattoo of the book. I wrote it as my high school quote. I have my home screen from the book, and I could not be more thankful to Ayn Rand for this. Now I have a much clearer view, and I could not thank Ayn Rand more. If you want to check out my whole story as to how this has all come along, why I didn't go to college, I mean, this kind of touched on it, but there are other avenues. You got to check it out here.